Oh, thank you for the donations, everybody. My wife's doing all the work. She's the one that brings home the money. At least I can contribute now and not hit my mum up for so much money. My brother hates me because I'm dwindling our inheritance.
You know, this whole channel has always been about doxers. Online doxers, these social media doxers with these platforms who make up stories about people for attention. Now, I'm going to be going in depth about a guy named Denesh Noshirvan. He has an account called ThatDaneshGuy on TikTok. He's got reportedly 1.6 million followers, which is a crock of shit. He's being sued at the moment. And when you go back to when this lawsuit first dropped, and he has people helping him do this, but he is a big facade. But when you go back to when this lawsuit first dropped, it was instantly dismissed. And he was going around telling everybody that the reason it was dismissed is because it was a baseless claim. And there was this stupid little Twitter account called Credible Intel that was peddling the same thing. And Credible Intel is in a lot of hot water at the moment. They know who he is. I've been told that personally. I think he's looking at criminal charges. They won't tell me who it is, but the lawyers know who this individual is behind that account. Now, as it turned out, the reason the lawsuit was dismissed initially was because there was a typographical error. That's a typo, and it had something to do with Dr. Ralph Giramone's business. They didn't add something in, and it was a jurisdictional issue with the court. So the court needed to make sure that this proceedings, this thing that's going to happen, they've got jurisdiction over it. It has to be held here. That's all it was. And Danesh was going around parading around lying about it. Now, I know he doesn't have a real following, and I'm going to go through the updated court stuff now because it's this back and forth. It's been going on for a while now. And it gets very fucking interesting because James Mcgibney from Bullyville has been named in this lawsuit. Now, I'm not accusing James Mcgibney of anything. I want to make that very clear. But Denesh's response to it is very telling. So, welcome to the Ali Noshirvan show on Social What? Justice. I am your host, Ali Noshirvan. Now, Denesh Noshirvan, I'm going to be honest with you, he parades around Middle Eastern brown guy. He says it all the time. I'm a Middle Eastern brown guy who's being harassed by white supremacists and all this sort of stuff, and they always carry on about 9/11 and the harassment that he received, which is absolutely no proof of that. But everybody I speak to about Denesh, they all think he's Indian. They think he looks East Asian. And I do too. I don't think he looks like an Arab man anyway. So this, he's being persecuted for being Middle Eastern. He doesn't really look it. And he grew up in Orange County anyway, which is a very rich area around the other minorities are there, all very wealthy as well. And he grew up around white people. He has white friends. He married a white woman. So he just does this for attention. But let's get into this lawsuit because some very interesting things have come up in it. Now, I'm going to go down to the parts that I've highlighted in this and read them out. So, on page 6, and I will put them up and you can screen grab them if you like, plaintiff's request number 1, requested production of all videos defendant posted on TikTok and all other social media platforms from January 26, 2022 through the present, to include production of all comments posted to each video, including private comments and the names of the accounts who posted the comments. So they are going after everybody that had anything to do with this Jennifer Couture incident. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jennifer Couture she's a wealthy woman, and she had an altercation in a parking lot with a woman named Angelique Reed. And basically, Jennifer Couture was leaving the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. She was going around the corner. Now, Miss Couture told me personally that Angelique Reed was on her phone and nearly drove into the side of her car. And I do believe that because I went through Angelique Reed's TikTok account, and sure enough, there's plenty of videos on there of her on a mobile phone recording herself driving. So it does track. And Angelique Reed, in the police interviews that she gave, even said how she flipped her off, is how she said it. And then Jennifer Couture got out of a car. Angelique Reed grabbed the phone, was holding it up like this in her face, basically being a little arsehole. And people were like, oh, you've assaulted a child because I believe Jennifer Couture's in her 40s. Angelique Reed's 21 years old. And she was being a little arsehole. Jennifer Couture slapped the phone out of her hand. And anyway, police were called. Angelique Reed was talking about suing because she wanted to get money. This was on social media. She posted the video on social media. It went viral. It ended up in the hands of Danesh John Noshirvan, and they have put in this complaint that a person known to Jennifer Couture gave Denesh the video and paid him to run the smear campaign on her, which would lead to her arrest. Even after her arrest, Denesh and his supporters were trying to get her bail revoked, which she could have been looking at 20 years in prison. And it's alleged that Denesh's own wife, Hannah Noshirvan, she called the parole office claiming to be Angelique Reed and saying that Jennifer Couture, saying that Jennifer Couture was following her in her car. Now, they've got all the phone records for that. The lawyer's got the phone records. Now, Denesh himself weaponized Child Protective Services against Jennifer Couture during that Hurricane Ian.
Hurricane Ian.
That hit Florida. They've got the phone records. He rang twice. It's in the lawsuit. Now, let's just shoot down to page 7 here, number 16. Defendant's TikTok videos are the primary medium he used to target plaintiffs and where he communicates with followers who participated in the campaign. Now, these are online cyber stalking groups. Denesh essentially doxes a person's information, their name, where they work. He doesn't put their address. This is where he draws the line and claims he's not doxing. But, you put a private citizen's full name on the internet. That's doxing, my guy. Now, I can do that to Denesh because Denesh is a public figure. He's got a following. He's got a big following, apparently. I'm going to find out in this lawsuit. They don't believe so, and I never have either. So that's basically the story. Denesh was paid. This was an underage girl too. She was 17 at the time, and it is also alleged that Denesh asked this 17-year-old girl, she was about to turn 18. In the following weeks, he wanted naked pictures of her as part payment. It's believed that he got around $5,000. Now, we know this because Jennifer Couture is known to this person. We know that. Denesh is in his mid to late 30s. He's a married father with kids. Why does he want to look at a naked teenager when you're a married father with kids? That's the big question here. I think that's a question everybody should be asking themselves. Is Denesh a predator? I believe so. I believe Denesh is a child predator. I do. Now, we go to number 17. Plaintiffs request number 3, request the identity of TikTok creators who posted comments to defendants' videos and about plaintiffs. Now, they're going after everybody. Now, I do believe this is heading to a RICO situation. You're going to find out later on that we did videos on this. I had Andrew, UN constitutionalist. He knows a lot about the Constitution. We did videos on that. I'll try and upload them again to this new account, but he broke this all down. He broke it all down and said that they were potentially going to rope-a-dope other people in who paid Denesh to do this. I think Savannah Sparks and Tizzy Ent need to start saving their money because I do think they're going to be next off the platter there because James Mcgibney, I don't believe, is going to be the last person named. Now, again, I don't know if James Mcgibney has anything to do with this. I am not making any allegations towards James Mcgibney at all, but Credible Intel, this Twitter account that has been putting out false information about the lawsuit, claims to work for James Mcgibney. Now, James Mcgibney's never denied that. So we don't know who's behind. I don't know who's behind that account. Maybe it's James Mcgibney himself. Maybe it's Denesh. but I know the lawyers know who it is. So we shoot down to 18. Plaintiff's request number 4 requested the fictitious news articles, native content defendant paid to publish, which intensified and perpetuated the threats and harassment plaintiff received. Now, this lady received nearly 800 threatening messages, some of them telling her to kill herself over this parking lot incident, that Denesh harassed the police to have her arrested and have her charged. Denesh did that. The police didn't arrest her for, it was about a month after this incident because of the public pressure Denesh was able to drum up. And Denesh was paid to do that by an extremely wealthy family in Florida. Now, I do believe Denesh saw this as a business opportunity. If he did a very, very good number on Jennifer Couture, absolutely destroyed her reputation, everything, had her locked up, more wealthy people would contact him to go after people that they didn't like. I do believe Denesh saw that as a business opportunity. But Denesh, and I've said this from day one, and I knew this from my own analytics on YouTube because I had a few junkie account. When you typed in ThatDaneshGuy, all my videos popped up pretty much first. I pretty much owned his name. And in the 2 years and 60, 70 videos later, the account only had 90,000 views on it. When I looked into the analytics, I already knew the target audience was people in their 30s and 40s, mostly women, mostly white people. When you go to Danesh's analytics on TikTok, he's blowing up, and it's like the largest demographic that watches his videos is under 18. That is not the demographic for cancel culture. It is people in their 30s and 40s, predominantly white, predominantly women, liberal leaning, and a lot of them have severe mental health issues. Now, during that time, Denesh was going around telling everybody he could to follow Credible Intel's Twitter account. If they wanted to hear about how his children were being stalked, how he was being harassed, how he's taking legal action, go and follow this Twitter account. Now, that Twitter account, if you went and looked at the views, had about 150 to 200 views per post. This is a man supposedly with millions of followers. Credible Intel's Twitter account, when I first come across him, had about 500 followers. It grew over, I think it was a year and a half to 1,000. I do believe he was buying some of them though, because the analytics on his views to his following just didn't match. But the point of the story there is, like, when you are shouted out by a huge influencer, someone with millions of followers, you will see the numbers rise. Now, you may not get the following because they may go and watch your content. They don't really jive with it. It's not for them. But you will see a boost in views bare minimum. And that is not happening with anyone that covers Denesh at all. So what does that tell you? It tells you that he's a fraud and he's spending mummy's money on fake engagement. And they do sort of touch on that in this. So we go down to page 9. Request number 5, requested all payments defendant received as tips, gifts, cash, live subscriptions, fee through TikTok from January 26, 2022 through the present, and the payer's identifying information, i.e. first name, last name, his, her, creator, username, account identification number, email address, phone number, etc. Now, this is where I said Savannah Sparks, who's our exorcist, on TikTok needs to worry because A, she did make videos on the plaintiffs, and B, she donated $300 to Denesh's GoFundMe because she had a name up there because she wanted everybody to see that, she's donating her $300 to her best friend, apparently, who's a Middle Eastern brown guy. She's a complete fraud. She uses him as like some sort of POC shield. She was married on a fucking plantation for starters. I think it was around 2015, 2016. She voted for Donald Trump back then too. She was a Republican. Now she's claiming to be a communist. These people will do anything for attention and money. So number 22, defendants can easily produce the information in request number 5 and all other requests for payments or cash redemptions by producing the IRS stuff. Now, this is where they go into the IRS, and this is what Andrew said, that they're going to go through the IRS. Now, I do believe they're going to find Dinesh has avoided paying tax. on his GoFundMes, on his grifts. He's avoided that. But I do also believe that a lot of his donation money, he deposited that money himself to make it look like it was growing. I do believe that, and I do believe he's getting the money off his mum. And I think his mum feels sorry for him because he's a low achiever and he always has been. You know, he never succeeded to being an actor or a comedian. His brother went on to be a doctor. He claims his dad used to beat him. I think his dad was disciplining him because he's clearly a narcissist. The way he mistreats people tells you that. Now, unfortunately for him to be an actor, comedian, whatever, a big social media person, people need to like you. You know what I mean? You can be the villain, don't get me wrong, that you can be those things, but really to be an actor and a comic, like, you need to be a likable person. Denesh just isn't. He's a very cold, very self-serving, very entitled individual. And I can guarantee you, if you go back, if you were fly on the wall many years ago during his comedy days, people probably were telling him and giving him really good advice to further his career that he just didn't take because he thought he knew better. Now, 23 is request. Number 6, requested receipts for all payments paid to defendant through monetization, crowdfunding services from January 26, 2022 until the present. And the payors identifying information. So they are going after people that paid Danesh. So it does get better. Look, I'm doing a bit of just a straight talk sort of thing. I don't normally do this. My videos are pretty well edited. I am well, this is a show. This is the Ali Noshirvan show after all. It does get better. So 27, request number 14. Oh, by the way, the reason he's saying that he doesn't want to he's avoiding trying to hand over this information, it's for discovery. They're asking him to hand over information for discovery. Now, if he was innocent like he claimed, don't you think he'd be tripping over himself to give this information over? No, I can't give out trade secrets. Your trade secrets is you buy your engagement. Like, let's be real about it. You've been caught. So number 14, it's on page 10. Request all documents concerning enforcement actions TikTok has levied against @ThatDaneshGuy. Now, he's been banned multiple times for doxing people. He's actually had his account taken down multiple times, and he seems to come back every single time. Then he claims that, he's the victim of white supremacists. Oh, God. Number 11 at 28, request number 15, request all documents concerning reinstatement of ThatDaneshGuy subsequent to the enforcement action. So this is just following on why he was banned, why he was reinforced. That's what they want to know. They want that in discovery. Again, if you were innocent like you claim, hand this stuff over. Number 29 is requested. Number 16 requests the text of all communication between defendant and TikTok moderators. So that's the people who moderate for him. They want it. Now, I did actually see some of the communication in the Discord. Cynthia Becker, she's a disgraceful lawyer. She's a property lawyer and she thinks like she's a criminal attorney. She thinks she's in true crime and she's playing the part. She gives Denesh information in regards to people's previous court cases that he uses against them. And these court cases could be 10 years old. Someone did something wrong, maybe with drink driving or something, whatever the fuck it might be. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, he'll use it against them. Like, people can't change in that time, right? I believe she's in love with Denesh. I think she wants the D. And I think this is why she's so loyal to him. This is one of these women who's in love with this man because he's a POC and she can go around telling all of her old white friends that, her boyfriend's a POC. Yeah, and they call us the racists. So number 12, number 17, requests that the text of all communications between defendant and any non-moderator TikTok employees. So basically anyone at TikTok, they really want to get to the bottom as to why he's been reinstated so many times after I've proven in all my videos how he breaks TikTok's own community guidelines. He does it continually. And then they mass report and harass other people to get their shit taken down. And it's like, well, why is he still up? Number 33, defendant has tried to derail this action by publishing numerous TikTok videos wherein he demanded other persons with large social media followings to use their platform to help him derail this action. That is 100% true. And this is not the first time he's done that. He has gone on other platforms. He went on Strictly Stalking. I did cover that. Strictly Stalking saw this as an opportunity to grow their following off a man who doesn't really have a following. It's all fake. So they hosted him and pretended like, they didn't bother typing his name into TikTok and seeing all the videos come up. And he blatantly lied on that. He went on to Stancy Potenza. She's a YouTuber, comedian. I think she's got like 2 million followers. She does mostly short form content. I'm going to be honest, it's not too bad, but she really needs to look into the background of her supposed friend. Now, we are seeing Mama Max at the moment on YouTube getting absolutely railroaded by his former friends. And a lot of these guys are huge YouTubers. I mean, they got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million followers. And, they didn't watch his content. They didn't know what he was up to. And Mutaha has come out and said, a lot of big creators that backed him, they're just slowly backing away now that he's been outed for being a liar. And this is going to happen with Danesh. He's going to be outed. And I think people like Stancy Potenza, who platformed him, they're going to just slowly creep away and delete all the videos with him. And that's going to be about it. They're not going to own up to the fact that, that they've platformed a man who has been cyberstalking, harassing a lot of women. And it does get better because we're getting into the part now about James Mcgibney and Bullyville. So during the same time, defendant has posted or had posted false and salacious allegations about plaintiff and plaintiff's counsel on Instagram accounts. And he cited James Mcgibney's accounts here. Now, I know exactly what that's about. So they were calling Patrick Traynor a pedophile and a neo-Nazi and someone who gets white supremacists off. That's what they were doing. James Mcgibney, he wasn't doing that openly. I don't know if maybe he's behind troll accounts. I don't know. But that's what they were basically doing. Now, when you go to number 34 on page 13, requested the text of all communications, including but not limited to email messages, chats, text messages, phone conversations, encrypted messaging applications, so that'd be like WhatsApp, social media direct messages, and all other forms of communication between defendant and James Mcgibney, who is affiliated with the Instagram accounts Bullyville and jamesmcgibney.com and whatnot. In some manner. For each communication, include the method of communication, e.g. email address, phone number, social media application, message, direct message. Defendant's objection to request number, this is where it gets really fucking good. So he's objected to this because he's claiming that James Mcgibney is a minister and any communication with James Mcgibney is spiritual counseling. He's claiming he was talking to James Mcgibney because he's a minister and that's his spiritual counselor. Like, do you realize how guilty you look? Like, I read that, I nearly fell off my seat. And when you look at James Mcgibney's ministry thing, he did it online. This is what it appears. They knew this was coming up, and to avoid handing over their personal communication, they've decided to pretend that it was spiritual counseling to a man who has bragged about being a Satanist, like he's alluded to it, cheats on his wife. What spiritual counseling are you getting there? He's cheated on his wife multiple times, abuses women online, but he's getting spiritual counseling. So we go down to 15. James Mcgibney is not a minister who is entitled to clergy penitent privilege. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He is a marriage officiant with the University Life Church, an online church that sells marriage officiant ordainments online. So he's gone and paid like $50 to get this fucking thing. And now Denesh is like, and this is what I mean. Like, this is why I'm not accusing James Mcgibney of anything, because Denesh just may have seen that because he's rejected everything else. He doesn't want to hand over anything. And he's claiming that he doesn't want to give trade secrets away and shit. And he's done the same thing here with James Mcgibney saying spiritual counseling and trade secrets. It's like, well, what is it? You don't want to give away how you do your TikToks, because if if you're talking to James Mcgibney about that, which you're basically saying you are, where's the spiritual counselling there? So that's what I mean. Danesh just maybe taking advantage of the situation that James Mcgibney just so happened to get this online marriage officiant ordainment certificate. I don't think so. I think they're trying to hide something. That's what I personally think. That's my opinion. Furthermore, defendant's objections that his discussions with Mcgibney concerned alleged trade secrets contradict his claim that the discussions with Mcgibney are not spiritual counselling and advice and are not the type of communications protected by the clergy penitent privilege. Lastly, as further evidence that defendant's objections to requests numerous 24 and 25 are frivolous, on January 15, 2024, I received an email from Bullyville. So James Mcgibney did email Patrick Traynor, and he basically was saying that, you know, he's going to be forced to get an attorney, and that, you know, if they don't remove his name from it, you know, he's going to get an attorney, and then they're going to have to pay his legal fees. Now, I mean, dude, you're talking about people that have more fucking money than God. I don't think they're going to give two shits about paying your legal fees. You're going to have to come up with a better threat than that. We go further down to page 17. Request number 9 requested a list of TikTok followers that defendant purchased. So this is where we get into sort of the nuts and bolts of a lot of this stuff. Is they've pretty much openly talked about how Denesh has bought followers. Now, Denesh has never denied buying the followers, and they want to know what followers he purchased. Now, I believe he's purchased a lot. I believe he spent about 6 figures on that TikTok account. Now, it's not his own money, and money easily gained is money easily spent, but I believe he's probably in the hole on that silly little TikTok account where he cyber-stalks people. I reckon probably close to 100 grand. I don't believe he's made jack shit. And in this, they even talk about the monetary gain he had from 2022 to 2023. He made $600. That was just on TikTok for the views. I think it was the views and maybe the tipping. I can't remember, but that's not his GoFundMe's. But he made $600. Now, I spoke to another large TikTok creator back then, around that time. They made like 2.5 grand and they had a quarter of the following that he has. So something's a little off there. Either TikTok know that the engagement on your videos is fake and they're not paying you for that, which is what I believe. I believe they do know that a lot of your engagement, when people go and look at your video and there's 500,000 views, I believe TikTok knows that about, 2/3 of that is fake and they're not paying him the money. Because that, to me, just did not make sense, considering the other person I spoke to, again, had a quarter of the size following he did, not even as many views, and made 2.5 grand in a year. I know it's not a lot of money, but it's a lot more than what Danesh made. So, page 17 again, number C, request number 10, request a list of creators who tag defendant in TikTok videos. So anybody who's tagged Danesh, they want to know who you are, because they're calling you a cult. And I do believe you are a cult. You are a cult. Daneland is the cult. It's a bunch of mentally unwell people. I don't think there's that many of them. I know people have speculated that there's thousands of these people. I don't believe so. I believe there is a couple of dozen at best. I'd even say maybe less. I believe Denesh is behind multiple fake accounts. It's even sort of cited in here. This is D, request number 12. Request a list of the Discord channels defendant posted comments on. So they want to see all of his communication. Down to page 18, request number 13, request a list of enforcement actions, suspensions, bans, community guidelines, violations that TikTok levied against him. Again, that's more of the same. F is request number 20, request a list of TikTok accounts that defendant has created, including each account's creator's name, account identification number, email address, and phone number. So they want to know what other TikTok accounts Danesh has. And they also want to know So they want to know the accounts he has, what he's posted to them, what he's commented on, because I do believe Danesh is behind a lot of these nasty troll accounts that are popping up, using pictures of people's kids, falsely accusing people of being pedophiles. Philip Connor, a guy I covered in a video a while ago, they did that to him. Now, they went to the sex offender registry, found a guy named Philip Connor. They tried to black out his name and the date of the offence, posted it saying it was him. Now, you could see through the little dodgy blackout job they'd done. The offence was in 2002, I believe. And this Philip Connor was 50-something years old in 2002. Now, Philip Connor is only 35 now, I think. So, this was like somebody who intentionally tried to mislead people by posting this misinformation about this man. And they've done it multiple times. It was in one of my videos, they used China's child. I believe that's Denesh. And I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. I believe it's him. I do believe he is that sick to actually go ahead and do that sort of shit. Now, G is request number 21, requests a list of all TikTok accounts that defendant has used or uses to post content to TikTok, including each account's creator name, account identification number, email address, and phone number. Yeah, so again, they want to see what accounts he's made and created content to. Now, he has ThatDaneshGuy account, right? And he's got a YouTube channel on TikTok. He's got one on TikTok. He's got one on YouTube. So anything else he's posting to these other accounts is just troll shit. That's what I'm saying to you. He is behind this stuff. Now we go down to page 19, request number 22, requests a list of all accounts on all social media platforms other than TikTok that defendant has created, including each account's username, account identification number, blah, 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 more the same. So they want to see his Instagram. They want to see everything because this man, we caught him purchasing 27 SIM cards. His wife, Hannah Noshirvan, purchased 27 SIM cards. We know he's got dozens, if not more. Maybe he's got 100 fake accounts because this is all this guy does. He does not have a job. He gets on Adderall and he just stays up for fucking days trolling people. That's all he does. Now, Hannah Noshirvan, I'm on the fence with. My gut says that she's not complicit in what he does. And the only reason I say that is because she doesn't have social media. She's not out there doing the same thing. And usually people that the same type of person as him would have their own accounts trying to grow them as well. And she's not. My gut tells me she's a victim of his. And if that is the case, darling, you need to come forward and out this man for you and your kids. I believe he's a domestic violence abuser. I really do. And I think he's put her up to a lot of this shit. That's just my personal opinion. Again, that's just my gut telling me that. It's like my gut says that, this whole thing with James Mcgibney, they're trying to hide something. Again, I don't know if it's true. I'm not making that accusation because I know he loves to sue people that do. But this credible intel account, well, let's just say they know who it is. So I'd be worried if I was that person pushing out Denesh's fake information to try and gain a following that never came. That's a bummer. So page 19 still, request number 27 requests a list of all subscribers to all of defendant's Patreon accounts with identifying information. First defendant downloads. So they want everybody who paid him, essentially, they want. Now, he's claiming he doesn't know how to do it, so they've actually told him how to do it. Defendant downloads this information every month when he sends acknowledgements, thank yous, notes to his monthly Patreon subscribers. So they caught him out because he does. He thanks them.
Oh, thank you for the donations, everybody. My wife's doing all the work. She's the one that brings home the money. At least I can contribute now and not hit my mum up for so much money. My brother hates me because I'm dwindling our inheritance. Request number 28 requests a list of all persons who donated to defendants' GoFundMe accounts beginning May 25, 2023, including each payer's identifying information. So anyone who's paid him, they're looking into you big time. Now, anybody who has, hashtag Danesh,
And there's been a lot of dickheads that have done that. Danesh, look at this, Danesh. You're being looked at, and there could be a Rico move here. Now, I've been told from day one that this is where it was going. They were going to get all of you. And it seems to me it is moving in that direction. Now, I'm going to fucking go out on a limb here and say the person behind Credible Intel account is probably going to get charged with something. I think they're looking at criminal charges for him. And I think they're looking at criminal charges for multiple other people. And I think this is why Patrick Traynor and the legal team didn't want to tell me who the fuck it was. Even though they know full well that you can tell me something, tell me not to say anything, and I won't say shit. I won't tell anybody, not even people closest to me. They know that with me, and they would not give me any sort of hints as to who Credible Intel is. So I do believe he's getting charged at some point. So on page 20, request number 29 requests a list of all persons who made a payment to defendants through all other monetization and crowdfunding services such as Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, Cash App. They're going after everything. If you ever donated anything to this man, they're looking into you now. So it's going to be very interesting. Again, look. Again, I can't say James Mcgibney did anything. I really can't. And I'm not going to make wild allegations. I have been contacted by former anonymous, well, they're current anonymous people that claim that worked for him. Now, I've passed them on to the attorneys. They claim to have information that is not going to be good for James. I haven't looked at it. I'm not going to look at it. I don't care. It's got nothing to do with me. Again, there are a lot of nutbags on the internet, so maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. But the fact that you go and get an online fucking certificate and Denesh is claiming that you're giving him spiritual counseling. Is it a coincidence? Is it just a coincidence that James Mcgibney happened to get that and Denesh is using it as an excuse to get out of showing communication between the two? I don't know. But for his sake, I do hope it's not true because he's to people like me, he's the guy who brought down Hunter Moore, right? That's how we see him. But it's like to ruin your legacy that you've built. And I know Hunter Moore was fucking a decade ago. I get it. But you were the guy that a lot of people looked up to. Well, because that's what we thought anyway. I don't know the real story behind it. Maybe you didn't have anything to do with it. Maybe it was really Charlotte Dawes or Dawson, whatever her name is. But to ruin that legacy on a man with a fake following, he literally is a rich kid, and so is Savannah Sparks. They're both from wealthy families. Everyone's so impressed that she's got a farm D, and it's like, dude, you know how many people, if they had that opportunity to just study and not pay bills and not do anything, how many people would achieve shit like that? There'd be fucking heaps out there. I think Savannah Sparks is about average intelligence, and she's from a family of pharmacists too. So it's like, Mom, Dad, what's the answer to this question? You know what I mean? She is basically getting tutored 24/7. Anyone with that, with those sort of conditions, with those sort of, what the fuck is the word? With that sort of advantage, I think is going to achieve the same thing. Now, Danesh himself, I think that he's got a very low IQ. I don't think he's a very intelligent man. I think he was just chasing fame his entire life, and he found it on TikTok. Well, he's boosted it, and he's sort of famous amongst a handful of us, right? But these people from wealthy families, they've never had the struggle. They have no idea what it's really like, but yet here they are promoting themselves as the voice for the black community and the downtrodden and all that sort of shit. And it's like you cannot relate. You cannot relate to those people. And it's obvious with the way that you make everything about yourself. It's very, very obvious. Anyway, again, I don't know if James Mcgibney's guilty or not, but I'm going to enjoy finding out through discovery. And I do think it's going to go all the way. And I do see some big changes potentially coming to social media because this ain't going away at all. So this has been the Ali Noshirvan segment on Social What Justice. Hopefully I see you in the next one.